They say there's something in the northern pines, something older than memory, colder than death, and hungrier than man. My uncle used to tell us not to wander too far past the fire pit when we stayed at the family cabin in Minnesota. Don't go near the tree line at night, and if you hear something calling your name, don't answer it. I always thought he was just trying to scare us. Until the winter I turned 17. It was the last time I saw my cousin Luke. That winter was brutal. Temperatures dropped to -20°F, and the snowdrifts came up past the windows. We were snowed in for 3 days. Inside the cabin, the generator buzzed, and my uncle stared out the frosted window like he was expecting someone. On the third night, just after 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of knocking. Not on the door, but on the glass in the living room window. I stayed in bed. Then I heard it again. Tap, tap. It sounded like fingers tapping the window. When I crept out to look, I found Luke already standing there, barefoot in the cold. He was staring at the window like he was hypnotized. He turned to me and whispered, "She's calling me." "What are you talking about?" He just smiled and walked to the door. I followed him barefoot into the snow. The wind howled, and the trees looked like skeletal fingers reaching out of the dark. "Luke, stop! It's freezing!" I shouted, but he didn't turn back. He didn't even leave footprints in the snow. That was the first thing that made my blood go cold. He walked straight into the woods and disappeared behind the tree line. When I ran in after him, all I found were shreds of his pajama pants tangled in bark. No blood, no tracks, just silence, and then the smell of rotting meat. It hit me like a wave. I stumbled backward into the snow. Something growled behind me, low and hollow like it echoed from inside the trees. Without a second thought, I ran. We searched the woods all morning. "I told you not to follow voices," he muttered, loading his rifle. "It's hungry this time of year." "What is?" I asked. He looked me dead in the eye. "Wendigo." I didn't believe in that stuff. I thought it was folklore, a cautionary tale. But Uncle Joe told me about a trapper from 1901 who disappeared near those woods, only to come back weeks later, naked and starving. Said he was chased by a tall woman with no lips and yellow eyes. Then he tore his own skin off in front of a priest. The story made national news. Another tale told of a hunting party in the 1950s that went missing. The search team found their camp shredded like paper. One man was impaled 20 feet up a pine tree. They never found the rest. That night I stayed up by the fire, shotgun across my lap. Uncle Joe fell asleep in the rocking chair, the rifle slumped across his chest. At 3:12 a.m. the wind stopped. Everything gone still. And then, knock, knock, on the front door. This time it wasn't Luke's voice. It was my mom's. "Baby, open the door. It's so cold out here." But my mom had died 3 years ago in a car crash. I sat frozen as her voice scratched through the wood. "Sweetheart, let me in. I'm so proud of you." Then I saw the handle start to turn on its own. Uncle Joe woke with a snarl and fired straight through the door. The voice screamed, inhuman, hollow, and vanished. When we opened the door, there were no footprints in the snow. Just a tuft of black hair caught in the hinges, long, coarse, and reeking of rot. The third night was worse. We boarded the windows and stacked furniture against the doors. But at 1:47 a.m., the mirror over the fireplace began to fog. Then a handprint appeared on the inside of the glass, upside down. That's when we heard it. "Luke's back." We turned, and there he was, standing in the hallway shirtless, pale, and eyes sunken like two black stones. "Uncle Joe," he whispered. "Come see what I found." I started crying, because Luke's feet weren't touching the floor, and something long and skeletal was reaching around his shoulders like it was using him as a puppet. Uncle Joe raised the gun, but Luke smiled. "She already picked you." And then everything went dark. I woke up face down in the snow miles from the cabin. No memory of how I got there. My clothes torn, my ears ringing. Search and rescue found me half dead wandering toward the highway. I told them about the cabin. They never found it. Just a patch of scorched earth, claw marks on the trees, and a mirror nailed to a tree trunk. They said it must have been a hallucination. But 2 years later, a hiker vanished in the same woods. His GoPro footage was posted online. The last frame? A pale, lipless woman crouched behind a tree, smiling. I still hear her sometimes. In the quiet, in mirrors. She waits when I blink. And she's always hungry.